Nation! This is part 2 in a 2-part episode. If you missed episode 1, go back to the previous episode and check it out, and then enjoy this episode number 2.
Anything to add, Claire, before we talk about what you did differently?
No, I think that that's really important. I think I got in my own way for like 11 years because I probably just didn't take action sooner on really like the long-term trajectory of my business. I think, especially in the cleaning industry, but in small business in general, and this is not a strong suit of mine, so I also just struggle with this generally, like in life. But you get so stuck in the day-to-day and not thinking about your future for your business or long-term goals or long-term planning, that day-to-day stuff never changes. So some people in the coaching group will be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you've been in business for that many years. And I'm like, it's a wonderful compliment, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't waste any time and you got coaching your second year in business. Like, you're going to be laughing in another 7 or 8 years. And so I think that is, if I could give a word of advice, it's just, you got to get out of the day-to-day and you have to start trying to think about what you want for your business later on, because otherwise that's what gets you to 11 years in business with growth, like, of course, but just feeling like, man, I kind of feel like I've just wasted a lot of time. And now I kind of have to make some big changes.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're in business 11 years, but 8 of those 11, my wife and I joke, we're like, oh, we've been married, 14 years, 11 happy years, like just, being a little silly. So we're like, oh, I've been in business 20 years. But for many of us in reality, it's like, oh, I repeated the same year 17 times. 3 years, I really grew I grew a business, I've been in business 20 years. So I've been growing a business for about 3 years now. Like, wait, I thought you said 20 years. Oh no, I've been in business for 20 years, but some of them, we just photocopied that year over and over because I wasn't going to learn nothing. So it's funny, whether it comes to COVID or making decisions in business or in life, humans are very, very good at counting cost of action, but we are terrible at counting like secondary cost of inaction. So like COVID, and I'm not trying to get political, but I think we can all agree there's consequences to everything, good and bad. And you can disagree on which is better or worse consequences. But, for the whole government to be like, we're shutting everything down and we're going to, stop the spread. For whatever help that did, hopefully it was good and worth it and all that. But I don't think anyone had the conversation around child abuse went up, spouse abuse went up, suicide went up, bankruptcy went up. And again, I'm not here to debate what was right or wrong. I don't know. But I am here to debate, man, we should have had that conversation. Like, what's the cost of this lockdown? It's not zero, right? Maybe the locking down is worth 100 points and the cost is 20 points. So we obviously should lock down. Again, I'm not debating whether we should have locked down, but we didn't even have that conversation. We're really good at having the conversation of this, but not that. I think the same thing comes in business. You said it perfectly, Claire. You're like, well, I don't want to spend the time and money and fear and whatever. I'm very clear on the cost of doing something different. Not going to do that. What's the cost of staying the same? I don't really. Let's not do that math. It's like, that's really important math. Like, we got to talk about that math. So, okay. I think we've, I don't want to say beat that horse dead, but it's on its last breath. So let's talk. You came in, and I love this because it's helping me see, like, why was Claire so successful? I thought it was all just you. And it is obviously predominantly you, but the way that you chose to come in and like the fact that the cost to make a change for you was maybe, I don't say more expensive, like money wise, of course, but emotionally than some of the other people that just like kind of came in and take it for granted. Something to consider. Like, I like that. So what did you do different? And by the way, if you guys love Claire and want more Claire, she was on an earlier podcast with Suzanne, and I think they talked more about the belief side. We're going to talk more about the tactical. I'll see if Lindsay will link to that podcast with this podcast. So if you want Claire, I think you can just search Claire Montgomery apparently, or Claire Bear, give it a try, and find the other podcast. But if you want more Claire, there is more Claire. Okay. So when you came in, we kind of got the before and after in terms of how you felt about your business and the work and the lots of work and not so much profit. And now obviously not so much work. And I know a lot more profit, I think more revenue. Let's talk about the differences. Before I was doing this, and here's why it didn't work. And here's what made me afraid to do the change. And here's when I did the change. And here's how it's working for me now. The top 2 or 3 that you feel would be most valuable to Clean Nation, if you would.
The top 2 or 3. I think number 1, the biggest change would be getting really clear I don't want to say clear, because sometimes some people are very clear on their numbers. I was not. But I think even if you're clear on your numbers, I think the way your numbers are broken down and displayed is very important. So the number one thing for me was, I'm not profiting and I don't know why. Okay, what is the cost of your labor? What is the cost of people traveling? Are you taking better care of your team? Are you making sure that you're setting yourself up for success from day one with profit? Mm-hmm. And what I realized was like, man, I've been so focused on like keeping customers happy that I haven't made any changes in the last 11 years. And it's like, man, some of our accounts we were like literally losing money on. Like, and so just looking at your numbers and understanding, like you have to think about profit and you have to think about sustainability, because if you're going to help your customers, you have to be able to help them long term. So definitely price adjustments was a big thing to make sure that I could take care of my team, that the business was healthy, that I had the more potential for growth in terms of my time and my energy and income. But then that indirectly helped me focus on, okay, who are the clients I want to serve? Because what we had done previously is I will serve everybody and anyone because I love people and I love the help that we're providing. And it wasn't fine-tuned enough. Like my background is obviously not in marketing. So I had never thought about who are we marketing to. I was like, we'll just help everybody. And what I realized is you can't do that. Like you can't really do that. You have to structure yourself in a way that you're providing value to the right people. And that's what I realized when I was going through our finances is, man, like we're not really serving anybody very well at all, because we're not providing value to the right clients and then indirectly the value to our team. And the second thing that I think was...
Before we hit the second thing, because that was like 2 or 3 things in one, and I just want to give a quick shot.
Yeah, of course.
Perspective. What Claire did, I love, because she started with, I didn't really know my numbers. And that's one of those things you can say, and everyone has different thoughts. And Claire's like, maybe some of you guys do. I talk to all of you guys, very few, if any, do. And there's 2 categories of not having your numbers. One is I don't have it. Like I just use Stripe or Jobber and like I'm tallying my revenue. That's a number. But when it comes to expenses, not so much. Or breaking down cost of labor versus overhead or fixed costs or variable and all that good stuff. So most of the people don't have it. The other piece is they have it, but they don't know how to translate or do anything. So less than 1% of the people that we talk to have their numbers. So I just want to encourage what that means. But the cool thing is, what I love about you, Claire, is you kind of started going down the list of, well, that really affected things that you wouldn't think it would affect, like how I treated my customers and what that relationship should look like and who I accepted as a customer. So as entrepreneurs and as humans, I think we want the easy, like, just give me the one thing to do that will change everything. And that's great for marketers because they're like, buy my Facebook course and you'll be rich, or buy my this or buy my that. And it's great to be a marketer, but not great if you actually have to get the person results, because it's more complex than that. So I love how you kind of broke down. It wasn't just the numbers. It was having the right numbers at your disposal at the right time and knowing what to do with those numbers. And those numbers really showed you a lot about who your clients were and who they should be and how you charge them and what you should charge. And it just opened up lots of other stuff. So I love that you really painted that picture really well. Mike Campion here. Do you ever listen to the podcast and go, this is great information, I just wish I could actually get it implemented and I wish I could get some help? Well, we do that. If you would like either myself or my team's help actually coming up with a plan that's specialized to you and your business, because with these podcasts, obviously we have to be very general and we can only go 20 minutes at a time. If you'd like to jump on a call with myself or my team, go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. We'll jump on a call. There's no charge. And we'll help you get some absolute clarity around exactly what to do next and how to do it. The reason we don't charge for these calls is the plan that we come up with, people want help implementing that. If that's the case, we're happy to talk about it. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're happy to just help you come up with a plan. So if you want to translate the information you're learning here into an actual plan that can change your life, give us a ring, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Love to either myself or have one of our coaches walk you through and actually personalize the content you get here to where you're at with your business. Talk soon. So that was 2 or 3 for the price of 1. Hit us with the official number 2.
The second, I think, big shift, because like I mentioned, we already had an assistant manager, was just restructuring our team so that I wasn't creating another bottleneck. And our assistant manager, she's like, obviously she's not with us anymore, but she's amazing. Like she literally echoed the same statement that I had basically created a mini me. Like I had just created another bottleneck. She was trying to do 7 different roles at a time. It was so inefficient. It wasn't scalable. And so the advice of breaking people down into smaller roles that are very, very tuned in to specific tasks was huge, because our scheduler can just focus on scheduling and provide that service to clients. Our customer happiness manager is just checking in to add value to clients. And then it helps clients know, who do I go to for support? And then for that kind of allowed me to get up and out, so that I was just providing secondary support and people could actually help each other out because they had the capacity to do that. And then it opened up opportunities for our cleaning crew to like get involved with interviews and like give them more purpose in what they were doing. And I think the third change, and it's kind of tactical and mindset, but that in the same breath, but that kind of affected the third big change for me, which was like, man, where do I want to be? Like, I need to start being conscious of my time and the value of my time, because I'm stealing jobs from people. Like I'm literally taking someone's job. Someone could be earning an income right now because I'm just deciding I'm doing all these things. And one thing that Terry had said to me a lot before I got coaching was like, man, what do you do with your time? It's like, you are busy all the time. What are you doing with your time? And not in a demeaning way, but yeah.
He sees you
like
leave at 7 a.m. Yeah. You come back to bed at 8, 9. You're like, I'm exhausted. I worked all day. He's like, what'd you do? You're like, I have no idea.
Yeah. Like,
but there's a lot of it and there's more tomorrow.
you really, as a business owner, have to be very protective of your time, and you have to start having some insight on what are you using your time for, and then start identifying like, hey, is this a CEO task? Is this a business owner task? Does this task allow me to grow the company? And if not, find a hire to fill that role, so that you, even if it's just more time to brainstorm. Like I felt like I never had any time to think about the future of the business. And that mindset piece is helpful. If you don't even have time to breathe and think about your business and just let some creative juices flow, you're really putting yourself in a box. And I had a really big job that I wasn't getting paid very much for. So, and there's like, obviously the core value teachings and all that stuff is really helpful. But I think those 3 really tactical pieces of assuming that you're thinking about the kind of people you want to work with, those tactical pieces are really important, because now, not that we don't run into issues, but it's just, I don't know, it's just structured in a way that gives everybody a little bit more room to breathe, and gives me, like, I have time to work on the important stuff now. And my team feels like they have autonomy over their roles. And I'm not a micromanager anymore.
So all 3 of those made eminent sense to me. And the first 2, I think many, if not most of the listeners are like, okay, like obviously we can't give a haircut over the phone. Like one to many, it's hard to tell exactly what to do in what order, but I think they get the concept. The third one, I think the concept's good, but I'm going to put you, if you don't mind, in the coaching situation. What people would ask me, and I'd love, as opposed to me yapping, to hear you, like how you would respond to someone who's gone through this process. When you're like, stop doing everything yourself, find out what CEO work is and make sure you're doing that, and don't do the business stuff. I'm just hearing people screaming, thank you, Captain Obvious. That would be great. Where do I find these people? How do I pay for them? Like, good for you, Queen of Sheba. Like, how do I freaking make this happen in my life? And I'm putting you on the spot a little, so feel free to answer or not as you're comfortable with.
I think part of it is getting real with yourself on the kind of things you enjoy doing and the kind of stuff you want to do. So I think that the first part is to get some clarity over what you want, because some people might love doing like tasks that I don't like doing. And they might get so much value out of it that, like maybe you love sales so much that you never want to have a salesperson. So I think in terms of breaking it down farther, it's making a list of literally how you're spending your day, identifying out of that list things that you don't like to do, don't want to do, maybe are like nowhere near a business ownership type task, and then try to subcategorize them. So I kind of broke it down a bit further, and it was like, okay, a big thing that I'm spending a lot of time on is scheduling and rescheduling and booking. It's like seemed to be a theme that some of these tasks were scheduling. And then it seemed to be a theme that some of these tasks were just like supplies. Like I was doing all the supply management for our team, and it became pretty clear that like, hey, that could be a separate role from scheduling, and asking for help. You don't have to have the perfect person in place or know exactly how to do it, but it could be as simple as maybe start with, hey, anybody want to help with supplies, guys? Like on a cleaning crew. Would anyone benefit from a couple extra hours a week just to help manage our supplies? And then if it's scheduling related, get clear on what that list of tasks is and see if you can hire someone online, like hire 2 or 3 people, give them a little bit of a test run, give them some homework to do, and just see if they can complete those tasks for you and if they're easy to work with. But the big thing is just taking action and thinking of the consequence of, again, what happens if I am still doing all of these tasks in a year from now? And what you'll probably find is it's not going to be good. And the with that list of what you're doing day to day and how much time it's taking you, I was also challenged to make a list of how much time I spend outside of work. Because that really helped it put me in the perspective of, look at how much time your business is taking away from your family, from your ability to be available for your team if stuff comes up, because you're so preoccupied. So for those people who struggle with like, hey, I just don't know how to do that, something that can be helpful is contrast that with how much time you have outside of work for yourself. And that might be the wake up call to be like, hey, this is really imbalanced. Like there's a big side effect of me not making any changes. And just do it one role at a time. Try to start with maybe the easiest role, and trial run that, and then work your way through. Like 2% improvement a day is like still improvement over 6 months. So it doesn't have to be rocket science.
Yeah, love that. All right. I feel like we've covered it. No, I feel like we have covered a ton. Any parting words before I wrap us?
No, I guess one thing, my parents were both business owners, and I remember asking my dad what changed, what was the biggest piece of advice he could give me for growing a business. And he said, identify what you're not good at and do not be afraid to ask for help. And I think that's a really important piece when it comes to not only business ownership, but with coaching, is identify what you're not good at. And if what you're not good at is growing a business or is figuring out how to profit, get help, admit the things that admit to yourself what you're not good at. Because you don't have to be good at everything. You just have to know that you need help, and you have to know that there's a person that has to come in with expertise in what you need help with.
So glad you spent so much time sharing kind of how you looked at some things and how you thought about things for the first decade. Because people see people like me or you and they're like, wow, you're doing really good. How do you do that? And you're like, where were you when I was getting my teeth kicked in?
Yeah.
You know, like looking again, I say all the time, if you saw me, because when I owned a cleaning business, I was 23 to like 26, 27. If you guys saw me with that business, no one would pay me anything to coach. If anything, you'd be like, do you need some food, son? Like, can I give you some help? Like that guy was a mess. So I just want to encourage you. No one I've never met. Some people are born bright and can learn faster and get it quicker. But one of my favorite stories to kind of highlight what Claire's saying, then we will wrap, is Anthony Robbins. If anyone's heard him speak, he is a powerful communicator. Like he is just really, really good. He was not so you think, well, that guy obviously came out of the womb with a microphone and was just like, the doctor was listening. From what I've read, I've not been able to interview him personally, but from what I've read of him speaking about himself, he's like, oh, I was terrible. He's like, I just committed to speak twice a day for like 2 years. So that's 2 years, 720 days, twice a day, 1,400 times. And I forget the stat. He's like, you know how many times most speakers speak, like professional good ones? He's like, maybe once a week. So I got 20 years of experience in 2 years. And he got really good at it. And when he was speaking, he's like, it would be at the Olive Garden, at the Rotary Club for 4 ladies. But by golly, he would speak. So for anyone thinking, I think he's just the perfect example of, I would see him be like, oh my gosh, he is born to do this. Obviously, he was great at it from get-go, not according to him. So anyone that looks at any business owner and goes, well, Claire is just magical. She was probably born with some sort of stuff, and she's got gifts that you don't, and you certainly have gifts that she doesn't, and I would say the same about myself. So yeah, I would encourage you, if you're not good at something, get great at it and find someone that's great at it and be like, hey, if I gave you money or time or whatever they want, would you help me get good at this in a tenth the time that you get good at it? And if you find someone that you like and trust and that says yes, smart people learn from their mistakes. Really smart people learn from other people's mistakes. There's no law, so you got to make the mistake yourself. So if you want some help, feel free to reach out. You can actually email me, mike@growingcleaningcompany.com. I'll sort you out with the right person. That's it, Claire. You're the best, girl. I know I'm getting, is Terry coming to San Antonio in October, or is it just you?
He is, yes. You will see him.
I owe that dude a beer. I forgot how much of a pain in the butt I was on that call. Tell him at least one of the dinners on me and my bride. Appreciate you hanging out with this girl and contributing to Cleaning Nation here. You're the best. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.